Hello and welcome to the pilot episode of 3 p.m. Talks, a new interview series where we have real conversations about nutrition, mindful eating, and wellness with some of the most respected voices in the industry. I'm Jaime Gonzalez-Mir, co-founder of 3PM LLC, creators of 3PM Afternoon Bites. If you're just getting to know us, 3PM Afternoon Bites is more than just a better-for-you snack option. We see it as part of something bigger, a wellness platform focused on promoting physical and emotional well-being. We're doing this through innovative products like 3PM Afternoon Bites, strategic partnerships like some of the ones you may have seen in your cities already, engaging content and conversations like the one that we're having today. 3PM Talks is another step in that journey. I'm so excited to kick it off with someone we truly admire. Today I'm joined by Sylvia Klinger, a globally respected nutrition educator, communicator, award-winning author, and most recently the recipient of the Medallion Award from the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. Dr. Klinger has done some incredible work bringing nutrition education and support for underserved communities, both here in the U.S. and internationally. So, Dr. Klinger, thank you for making the time to join us. It's an honor to have you as our very first guest, and I'm certain that this is going to be the first of many more conversations.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jaime. This has been an incredible journey, developing 3PM. And I'm just so excited and really pumped to really tell the consumers about the ingredients and that they were handpicked so that they can be beneficial for our consumers. So I am really, it's been a delightful to work with the team. And obviously, as a registered dietitian, my goal is to really help consumers feel better, have vitality, and have that energy that we need, at the times when we need it the most.
Well, actually, in full transparency for those of you watching from your homes, Dr. Klinger was our chief nutrition advisor. If you haven't yet figured that out, for the development of 3 p.m. Afternoon Bites, she's the one that kept us grounded. She challenged us to go further. She helped us create just what might be one of the most nutritionally balanced cookies out there. So,
That's right.
today, we're diving into a topic related to our journey this past year with you, Dr. Klinger. I'll just call you Sylvia. So, Sylvia.
And we might throw
So,
some Spanish words in there because,
yes, yes, yes.
as Latinos, we can't help it.
We can't. Today we're going to dive into a topic that I know is really close to the heart of what we do and what we've been doing with you. And it's this whole idea of snacking smarter and how functional ingredients are changing the game.
Mhm.
To kick us off, Sylvia, can you please break it down for us? What exactly are functional ingredients and how do they go beyond just being considered healthy?
Right, right. Functional ingredients are just so trendy right now. And they've been trendy for a very long time. I have been practicing nutrition for 40 years. And these functional ingredients they're foods that kind of have a function a little bit more than what you're, typically might expect from something. So the problem with functional foods is that everybody, because they're so trendy, everybody wants to get into it. And sometimes not for the good reasons, or sometimes are ingredients that really are more like a placebo. They don't really have the effectiveness of the functional food, because a functional food have a function. Like they say, functional foods, they have a function beyond what we are expecting. For example, fruits and vegetables. They are considered a functional food, but when you use them on something, and you combine them with something else, their benefits become greater. So we have found that there's things like blueberries, flax seeds, there's nuts and beans. And I mean, I can go on and on of the many foods that are beneficial and have that functional benefit. And they have, they're simple. They're things that we find in our cabinets. We just need to eat more of that and less of the things that are more indulgent and could be harmful to our body if we take it in high quantities. Because, all foods can be part of a healthy diet. All foods. Okay, so get that right. All foods can be part of a healthy diet. We're humans. We're gonna go to a baseball game and maybe have a soda. We're gonna go into, abuelita's house and they might bring you flan or something. So, there's always gonna be these things around. But we have to remember that the poison is in the portion. okay, that we can have a little bit. And the difference could be, let's say you're having a piece of brownie, a tiny little square of brownie, that could be 40, 50 calories. Now, a big piece like this, with a la mode, with a scoop of ice cream, whipping cream, hot fudge, we're talking about 5 to 800 calories, almost the calories that you need for the whole entire day. So remember that it's how much we do we consume of that item that could be actually create some problems for our bodies. So with that said, these functional foods are these foods that have a greater benefit for our bodies.
Can you give us examples of some functional ingredients and how they can make a snack item work, or any food work, a little harder for us?
Yes, yes. For example, you have, let's say a piece of bread, and you add that piece of bread has, whole grain, is made from whole grain. So you have about 3 grams of fiber per slice or more. Sometimes, like we put more seeds and things like for the 3 p.m. cookies, add flax seeds to that so that we could have that benefits from the fiber, and not only the fiber, the antioxidants that are also in whole grains. There is actually cranberries in one, the oatmeal. These are things that really have a functional benefit. For example, oatmeal has fiber, and at the same time also have that glucagon that also the cholesterol gets attached, so it takes cholesterol out of your body. So that's a functional food because it goes beyond the fiber and the goodness of oatmeal. It has that property to actually help you lower also your cholesterol. So the same things with cranberries. We have even chocolate also have antioxidant properties. Green tea has also antioxidant properties. And these are some of the ingredients that actually are in our cookies, the 3 p.m. cookies, that really, I mean, I like to think that I handpicked some of these ingredients because I knew these are the ingredients that most consumers are lacking on their diet. I mean, we know the foods that we consume too much sugar, too much salt, too much saturated fats. Okay, I say too much. We need to limit them, not avoid them, limit them and consume it at lower quantities because we need all these foods in our bodies. However, when you add these things that that are have that functional benefit, you're sneaking in more nutrition. I like to think about sneaking it in because as a mother, I have children and they didn't want any green vegetables. They didn't want any seeds and nuts and beans. So I have to kind of like blend them, put them into soups, put like beans and putting a little bit of blend them with some salsa so that I can put them in wraps, trying to boost the nutritional value of that item. And this is something that 3 p.m. has. We're boosting a cookie that we could have gone indulgent. We could have add huge amounts of sugar and other things. However, we kept those ingredients low. We kept then the and kept the foods that we need, like fiber and these antioxidants that we need more in our diet, but we're not getting it. We get that. We try to incorporate that into these 3 p.m. cookie. That was how I came in my mindset as I was coming into this project. It was, how can we get the foods that Americans are lacking? Fiber, the protein, high quality proteins, and the fruits, and the fruits and the things that we need the most, those antioxidants that we need to keep our bodies functioning properly.
Going back to the when we were developing the product, I love what you just said about sneaking in the nutrition, because we did want to have, we kept on, our mantra was perfect balance of nutritious and delicious. And I believe that we were able to sneak in that indulgence, sneak in the healthiness in something that is sweeter, that people, especially, we're seeing how much children are liking the product.
Right. And one thing that I have not mentioned yet that it was like, I want to think is the star of this product is the postbiotic. We have been, I'm sure our public have been hearing about prebiotic, probiotic, postbiotics. And these are things that are really helpful for our body, especially our gut health, our heart health, our immune health. These are things that are really, really essential. And this is why you're seeing more and more conversations about these biotics, as I call them all together, because they have an extra function. They help you, not only your gut, they help your heart. They has a lot of connections, and also the immune system, which is something that we want to keep strong, because when you have a very strong immune system with this, functional foods and the right things, eating more of the things that our body needs, then you can withstand illnesses. You can withstand a flu, something that would have, take you down for weeks, in a day or two, you're back on your feet. All right. And when the same thing with your gut health, when your gut is healthy, and that wall, intestinal wall, is nice and thick, and it has the good bacteria these biotics provide, then we can have not only a good digestive system, but we also have a great, we're boosting that immunity in our body that we need to keep not only throughout the winter, but all entire year. I mean, with all the traveling that I do, around the world, it's important. And not only traveling, I live in the city, I take public transportation. I mean, I love hugging and kissing people. So, I mean, I believe that I'm a person that, I have a high risk for lowering, getting my immune system weaker. But as you eat these things that keep your immune system strong, like this postbiotic, that's one of the things that they have, because the prebiotics help you to keep, they feed the bacteria, the good bacteria in your gut. And then the probiotics, they kind of maintain it. And then the postbiotics, they just take it to a whole nother level with keeping your immune system strong and keeping those bacteria that have been fermented and then become healthier and keep your immune system strong and healthy. And that's a big thing. And this product, this 3PM product, has 100.8 billion cells, which is exactly what you need, okay, to keep that, to get the effects of that, to strengthen your immune system. And at the same time, because the product has high fiber, high protein, that whole package together really helps you to not only keep your immune system, you get protein for your muscles, and at the same time you also get fiber to also keep that gut bacteria healthy. It feeds that good bacteria and keeps it growing in the right direction. So all these things together, nutrients work in teams. And this is a way that we felt that these ingredients, not only boost your nutrition, boost your immune system, gives you more fiber, gives you more protein, and at the same time in a delicious cookie that, that is really low in sugar, but high in the boosted in the items, ingredients that your body needs and we're lacking in our diets.
Sylvia, you touched upon it a little bit, and especially when it comes to mind when you bring up postbiotics. There are still people out there who doubt the efficacy of even function of, excuse me, of, are there any functional ingredients that people tend to overhype or misunderstand? We know from what we've done that postbiotics are the real thing, but I'm just wondering if people are focusing on the wrong functional ingredients when they go out and they're purchasing products.
Yeah, there is a lot of products out there that really are, picking ingredients out of a hat, I call it, and they don't really have the science behind. And that's the thing that we need to be careful with, because we have to, when you have science that works, an ingredient that we know it works with different populations, different age groups, different regions of the world, and always have the same results. That's real data. And that's what we have with the postbiotics. That's what we have with fiber, with protein, and all these ingredients that we're, really showcasing more because of the great benefits they have. However, there are things that, I will say there are ingredients out there that people hype that really don't make a huge difference in your body. And or sometimes, they say, oh, this product has, let's say, no sugar. But it's, we learned this in the 80s and 90s. Products that were like virtually no fat, then they were loaded with sugar. So sometimes,
Or
this is
sodium.
what happened. You have to look at the whole ingredients, because it could be a product that says, oh, this product, it's healthy or good for you, because we really don't have like real definitions of health. what I call something healthy or good for you is when it has low sugar, low sodium, low saturated fats, high fiber, high protein, high of fruits and vegetables, and the things that are, high in beans and nuts, and those ingredients, like omega-3s and the things that our body needs. But I mean, there is things out there that really, they might not even have enough of the ingredient as well. That was really important. And when we had the postbiotics, wanted to make sure that the amount was effective. That was an amount that was gonna create a difference. So you might see ingredients out there. Oh yeah, we have, we have nuts in our, or we have something, and they're hyping that, and they might have very tiny amounts that are not gonna make a difference. And that's what you find, and especially populations that are at risk for cancer, for chronic disease, heart disease. These populations are the ones that are vulnerable to these hyper things that people are hyping that really are not effective, don't have enough of the ingredient, or have too much of an ingredient that is could be harmful if taken in high quantities. And that's, I think, what we need to be most careful, that when we are reading ingredients, that you have enough of the ingredients that you're looking for. For example, when I tell somebody to go a whole grain, okay, buy a bread that has whole grain, I immediately say, go in the ingredient label and make sure that the dietary fiber is at least 3 grams or more. And here in our, the 3 p.m. cookies, it has 3 grams. That is a good source of fiber. So you want to make sure that the ingredient that you're looking for, it's in a quantity that is a good source or an excellent source of that ingredient that you are looking for. And that's the main thing that to look for, because I think when we come to functional foods, I mean, for something to hurt you and to harm you, it's the amount that you're consuming. So you want to make sure that the ingredients that the functional ingredient that you're looking for, such as be fiber or protein or omega-3s, or you want to have, less sugar, you want to make sure that those ingredients are at an amount that is going to be, helpful for you or not going to harm you in any way.
That's a really excellent point, because there's a lot of products out there that tout, or they have in big letters on the front of their packaging, certain functional ingredient that might be a buzzword or what have you. But when you read a little bit closer the nutrition label, you notice that yes, it's contained in there, but it isn't in any significant amount to do
The
the
benefit that you're looking for to be
benefit from it.
effective and to make a change in your health. Because when you eat fiber, you want to make sure that it's helping to lower your cholesterol, is helping to strengthen your gut, your digestive system. If it's something is low sugar, you want to make sure that the amount is not going to affect your blood sugars in your blood if you have diabetes and so forth. You want to make sure that these ingredients are in an amount that is not going to helpful, it's not going to hurt you, or an amount that is really going to boost that, is going to be effective for what you're looking for. And that's important. That's really important because, let's say omega-3s, we're looking for, an amount that is really going to make a difference, because there's a lot of supplements that have, oh, I have has omega-3, and it might only have a few grams, or the gummies only have 200, 300, 500. When I really feel that to get a benefit of an ingredient like an omega-3, you got to go up to 1,000 a day or more to really make it and also the high quality ingredient to a high quality omega-3. But you can get also from nuts and seeds as well. But at the same time, you want to make sure that you're getting the amount that is going to be effective, that is really going to help to lower the heart disease, the heart risk, etc. And that's really important that, sometimes, and this is why, we recommend you see a nutritionist, because, we are the experts. The doctor can guide you a little bit, but we can guide you specifically with the needs that are exactly for you. So that is why we welcome your questions, and we're here to help you in the health journey, because this is just a step forward, and having a snack that can help you boost that fiber and the protein and the postbiotics, that immune system, help to strengthen your immune system. And at the same time, it's not going to have, doesn't have, it's low in sugar, low saturated fats, and low in sodium. It's gonna, it kind of like has, it's a, it's a great good for you snack. And I love that there's things out there that are convenient, because as consumers, I know how busy you are. I hear you. I hear you're busy, and I hear from patients every single day when I counsel my patients how busy they are and how they are looking for products that are easy to find and easy to eat them and consume them to get that boost nutrition that they're looking for. So I love when there's things out there that are convenient, and yet also they are pack, they're powerhouse of nutrition as well. And I get really excited when I see things like that, because yeah, you can have an avocado, you can make, make a smoothie with more flax seeds. And this is just another way for you to, when you're in the road, when you're traveling, when you're in school, I have a daughter who's a school teacher. She's always looking for little things to kind of boost her immune system among, 30 kids in the classroom. At the same time, give her the energy that she needs at 2, 3 p.m., when she's really getting a little tired and, with kids. So I hear, how the public really are looking for something convenient at the same time that is good for you. And that's, again, like with anything, it's like, when you need a certain nutrient in your body, you want to take it in certain amounts, but then once you plateau and you have enough of that nutrient that you're deficient, then you can, go back to your normal levels. But with something like this, it's something that you can take every day. It's got amounts that are not in huge quantities, but in the amounts that will help you every day to boost that nutrient, to look for that boosting that you need every day. I call them my pick me uppers, and especially because a product like 3PM has carbohydrates and proteins. And then it's got the postbiotic, which is like, I call it, a bonus in there. But a carbohydrate and a protein combined is a pick me upper, because it helps you to boost your energy naturally, not with, caffeine, huge amounts of caffeine. And then with the protein also, helps your muscles function properly. But that combination of a carbohydrate with a protein is a pick me upper. So you can do, a 3 p.m. cookie in the afternoon, or you could do, a piece of cheese with a cracker, apple with peanut butter, that yogurt with fruit. These things, help you. They're carbohydrates with protein that can help you boost that nutrition, that, your not only your energy, but also your nutritional needs, and yeah, when you need them.
It kept building off of what you were saying, and it occurs to me, and we've had the conversations this past year. The nutrition label, we can't stress enough the importance of reading the nutrition label and not just the marketing on the front of the box and what have you, because it works both ways.
Mhm.
Could be a good source of protein, but it's loaded with saturated fats to compensate those 16 or 20 grams of protein that is in a CPG. By the same token, no sugar could be loaded with non-nutritive sweeteners or sugar alcohols, which cause inflammation in the body. So it's so important to know what you're putting in your body for both the good, the functional benefits, but also the stuff that you don't want when there's too much of something else.
And then, like we always reinforce, is the poison is, the portion, the poison is in the portion, because, in having, you want something that is low in sugar, yet consumers want taste. Taste is number one. We could have gone really like use nothing, no sugar, whatever. But in these PM product, there is a little bit of cane sugar. There's a little bit of allulose, which is, it's considered a natural, sugar substitute, because it comes from a plant, same like stevia. They're considered natural sweeteners, non-nutritive sweeteners, because they don't add any nutrients, but they add a little bit of sweetness when we need it. And we know that, as consumers, we like good taste. And I've seen many products out there that taste really bad. And no matter how nutritious they are, people are not going to eat them if they don't taste good. So they had to have a little bit of, a little bit of the product had to have a little bit of sugar, a little bit of, the non-nutritive sweetener, and a little bit of saturated fat to really make it palatable, soft and tasty at the same time, have also the ingredients that your body needs, like fiber, protein, in the postbiotics as well. So, I'm just really excited about these product that with simple ingredients, you can really get a snack that will help you boost your nutrition, will help you boost your immune system, will help you boost your energy. It does have a little bit of green tea from matcha, a little bit of green tea that, but it's very tiny. It's very tiny. It's so tiny that we cannot even talk about, oh, you get antioxidants, from the green tea that is in the cookie. It's just a tiny amount, but that tiny little amount can also, helps with the a little bit of energy as well. But again, the one thing I didn't want it was another product that says, oh, it gives you energy and is loaded with caffeine, because that's just masking the giving you energy, and then later is going to really let you down. So it's just got a little bit of the green tea, which is an antioxidant and another functional food, but at the same time, we are really immune system benefit, and the energy benefit comes from the postbiotics, the fiber, and the protein. And the energy that you get will be from those ingredients. So it's a really, really great. I think it's a perfect combination. I mean, and it's just, I can't wait for you guys to all try it.
Great. Yeah. One thing on the sweetener, it's not only the low calorie, non nutritive sweeteners, most of them, especially sugar alcohols, leave a funky aftertaste. So it's not
Mm,
only the sweet you're
mm.
getting, it's the sweet you don't want to be reliving after
Absolutely. And
you're
that's one
eating.
thing, like with Latinos and many other maybe groups, populations, it took me a long time because I don't like that bitter taste that you get from those or, if you have too much of the sugar alcohols, you can have also, you might get bloating or a little bit of diarrhea and all these things when you have too much of the sugar alcohols. So it just had to be, there's so many out there. But again, picking the one that has the soft, very subtle sweetness, it was important because we do not want it, one that it was going to provide that that bitter aftertaste afterward. Now there is people who like that. I mean, but most people like more of a subtle sweet that is not going to be that, pungent in your taste.
Celia, if there was one thing that you wanted to tell consumers to look for when choosing products with functional ingredients, what would that one thing be? Is there one functional ingredient that tops them all?
Well, I think that the postbiotics really have, I mean, it's hard to pick one, Jaime. It's really hard because, like I said, it's a variety of nutrients that really makes your body work effectively. But if I were to pick something now that we know it's got a lot of connectivity to your brain, to your heart, to your gut, it's the postbiotics. I mean, I feel that that's an ingredient that is really powerful. But at the same time, I know that, we're not getting enough fiber, we're not getting fruits and vegetables in our diet. So I always say, what, when you have a little bit of all the different food groups, that's when you know you're having a balanced meal and something that is really going to act more effectively in your body. When you have a little bit of at least three representations from the food group, from different food groups. And that's, important. Even with the snack, we always say have two things, from two different food groups. Of course, the cookie now has the cookie will have has the cranberries and has the flax seeds and stuff, the grains. So you're getting in there two different food groups and even more represented in the 3 p.m. cookie. But again, is having that a little bit of all the food groups is really what's going to make it your meal be more effective and absorb the nutrients in a more effective way.
Great point, Celia. Celia, again, thank you. Thank you for joining us on our very first episode. It's been a real pleasure working with you this past year, but also kicking off 3 p.m. Talks with your wisdom and your insight, and just having, like I said at the beginning of this program, you're one of our favorite people. So thank you so much. And to everyone that's tuning in, thank you for spending a little part of your day with us. We hope you found this as informative as we did. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on social at 3 p.m. Bites, and stay up to date with new episodes coming up, wellness content, all the other stuff that we're doing in this wellness platform that we call 3 p.m. Afternoon Bites. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks again for being with us. See you next time.
Thank you so much.